Hello, everybody. Just wanted to take a check in with you and take a look at how to approach this chapter of naming the muscles and going through the origins, actions, and insertions of them. So we've got this thing. It's going to take a lot of just remote rote memory work. Taking a look at those, and remember that we have our checklist. This checklist is broken down into its different components. It's chunked down into kind of the abdominal muscles. We have our leg muscles, kind of upper leg, the thighs and hamstrings, that kind of thing. We have our lower leg muscles, kind of the shin muscles, and calf muscles. We have our forearms. We have our upper arms. We have kind of our torso with the back and the chest. And then we have our facial muscles. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of going off of this list, taking a look at those, and also uh, just kind of practicing up those different skills. Okay. Now, make sure we're also applying this into the different things and being able to identify, based from this worksheet, be able to identify what those muscles are. Okay. So again, it just takes just rote memory work, going through those different muscles and applying those. So that's step one. Go through how to name each of those. Now notice that your number one on this sheet is the exact same number one on this sheet. I numbered this up so that, it doesn't matter if you're looking in a really close or really far view, it's still the same muscle. You'll see also when some muscles get out of order, like right here, we still see the same 1 through 9. Okay, from a distance, you'll see this 41 just kind of pops out. The reason that one is so far behind is because we see that one best from the backside. Okay, so that's how you interpret this set of diagrams when we're working with them. Now, you practice up the name of those muscles first. Then comes the tricky part. Naming the muscles is part of it, but then we have to go through this sheet and go through the origin, action, and insertion of each of those muscles. Now, this could be, and traditionally it's just a chart that you memorize and so on. But we have to think about this and approach it a little bit better. If you know where the muscle is, and you know how to work that muscle, then you can approach these a little bit better because the origin is what it's pulling toward. Okay, muscles only pull, they never push. So the origin is what that muscle is anchored to, okay, what it's pulling toward. Insertion is the thing that gets moved. Okay. And then the last thing is how do we properly describe those actions? All right. So if we take a look, for example, at some of the facial muscles, because that was the number one. We take a look at the facial muscles. We see the orbicularis oris. Okay, orbicularis is around, and the oris is around the mouth. So if you flex that muscle, we have to go like that and flex the muscle in. We purse the lips. That would be describing the action. And so the facial muscles are the things getting moved, and the skin is there and it's pulling toward the surrounding muscles. Now we get to other ones, say for example, the masseter. The masseter muscle is the one right on the side. So if I'm putting my fingers on that muscle and get it to move, I have to clench my jaw. If I open my jaw, it doesn't flex that muscle. So always feel for what it's flexing and go through with for example, the masseter that's clenching the mandible, clenching the jaw. Okay, the thing that gets moved is the bottom of the mandible, and what it's pulling toward is way up here in the temporal. Okay, as you're clenching your jaw, you can feel way up here. So that would be your origin. The thing that gets moved is the insertion. Okay, so that would be the mandible and so on. So you've got your lists of those things. I don't want to go through each muscle here with its origin, action, insertion. But as you look through your list and as you look through those different charts on there, go through and think about, okay, what's getting pulled? What's it pulling toward? And how do I describe that action? Watch out when we get to the arm muscles. There's a difference between flexion and extension. Okay, to flex the forearm versus to extend the forearm. We also have terms like abduction and adduction. To abduct means to bring away from that midline. So think about, when we're bringing something out, that's going to be abduction, bringing your leg lateral. Okay, that's going to be like your hip flexors and so on. Now, if we're bringing the leg inward, or like your pectorals that are going to bring your arm inward, well, that's going to be adduction. It adds in towards that center line. So watch out for those different terms of flexion and extension. Think about abduction versus adduction. And then the other ones are just specialized different ways of classifying the types of movements that are in there. So I just wanted to check base with you guys on this and how to do and approach those. The first step is to name the muscles from that diagram. Okay, chunk it down into those different skills, and then work on your origins, actions, and insertions of those muscles.